WFRV TV Local 5, Green Bay, Fox Cities, and the Lakeshore. This is Newsmaker Sunday.
Good morning. Welcome to Newsmaker Sunday. I'm Tom Zalasky. We have talked about the importance of mental health recently, and today we focus on the work against teen suicide. Frankie Moscato has been a longtime advocate, and she joins us now this morning. Frankie, good to see you.
Thank you. So nice to see you.
Thanks for joining us this morning.
You are my family's favorite.
That just means I'm old.
No way, no way.
And nowhere near as talented as you are. You're using your celebrity status to call attention to a pretty heavy topic, a pretty important topic. And before we get to the topic, let's first talk about Frankie Moscato. Who are you? Where have you been? What are you doing these days?
I'm just a regular kid from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And right now I'm actually going to school. I'm going to UW Green Bay. I'm a junior. I'm 20 years old. I'm going all online. I'm studying business and political science. And, you know, I think COVID created some negative connotations about online education. My last 3 years of high school was at an online academy, and I was the president of the National Honor Society. I just love school so much, and they did an exceptional job at making this interactive education. It's called Connections Academy, and now I'm going to Maryland as their national spokesperson. I'm going to speak to the nationwide principals of this amazing academy. But right now I'm going to UW Green Bay, and it's been working out well, balancing school and work. So I'm also have my entertainment business where I travel around and do corporate gigs and weddings. You know, I'm even singing at the bedsides of people in their final hours of life, and I love my job so much.
You are a burgeoning celebrity. Tell us about the musical career. What have you done there?
Yeah, well, you know, I have been playing music since I was 3 years old, but I really started to take it pretty seriously when I was 11, and I was invited to sing the national anthem for a suicide awareness walk. And so that was quite amazing. It really opened my eyes to the growing disease of teen suicide. But then eventually the Green Bay Packers noticed me, and so I sang for them when I was 11, and there's really nothing that compares to singing for 70,000 Packer fans, and you know, that are singing along to support our country's anthem. It's just amazing for, you know, an 11-year-old. But then I was invited back a few years later, and a bonus, I get to meet Aaron Rodgers again. And it was cool, this big guy coming towards me, and just such a humbling experience. It really is. And many times I was invited to come back to sing for the Bucks, and for just big state events, and of course that brings a lot of negative attention from cyberbullies, and but I've learned to focus on things that I can control, and I've decided that I'm just not going to spend any more time worrying about the negative attention from these kids, from old classmates. I just don't have time for that, so I focus on helping kids, and that's when I really put all my energy into fighting teen suicide.
You were at the White House, too.
I was invited to sing for the president and the vice president. Yeah, it was such a blessing.
When you're about to sing for the president of the United States and the vice president, what's going through your head in the minutes or moments before you go on? Are you nervous, or are you so in control you just say, I got this thing?
Well, I'm really not nervous when I'm really thinking about the mission and why I'm there, and it kind of makes me emotional, because my beginning in my career, I was, like I said, singing the national anthem. So eventually I traveled around with my veterans, and I just learned about how lucky we are to live in this country, and it really is such a blessing. And the national anthem is one of my favorite songs to sing. So all I was thinking about is, this is just such an honor to sing the most important song for our country.
A lot of people watching this morning are saying, hey, that's the girl from American Idol, isn't it? What was that like?
That was crazy. When we were filming, I was 16 years old.
Really?
Yeah, so as a minor, I got this special treatment. I had to be in bed by 7, and I had to go to school at least 4 hours per day. But I remember even for that, I really wasn't nervous for some reason. I do get nervous for things, but for that, I wasn't nervous either. And I remember coming in to see the 3 judges, Katy Perry and Lionel Richie and Luke Bryan, and I felt like I was 5 years old again, just watching my favorite show, and I just stepped right into the TV because everything in that audition room was exactly how I had imagined it would be. It was the big American Idol sticker that you stand on, and I was surrounded by all these people dressed in black with big cameras and lights everywhere, and there was just this dead silence that just felt like it lasted for hours as I just stared at the judges, and I was pretty starstruck. So I definitely blacked out for a little bit. I don't remember anything that happened, but I do remember walking out with the gold ticket and just thinking, how did I get here?
Yeah, what was the gold ticket? What's that all about?
Yeah, so Luke Bryan, they all agreed that I'm going to go to Hollywood, and Luke Bryan handed me the ticket, and the funny thing is, they told us that we don't get to keep these gold tickets that are, have been on the show for years and years. So you never know. Maybe I was holding Carrie Underwood's ticket or Adam Lambert, yeah. So we get the ticket and we have to go into these rooms and take a 400 question test to see if we're not crazy. And I'm sitting alongside the kids who lost as well. So I feel kind of bad, but.
Oh my.
Yes, quite the experience.
Frankie Moscato was our guest this morning. We're going to talk about her foundation and teen suicide and much more right after this. So please stay with us. We are back now with Frankie Moscato and the issue of teen suicide. Frankie, you are young. You've got a huge career ahead of you, and yet you started this Frankie Moscato Foundation. What is the foundation? What's it for?
Yeah, I've been in some pretty dark places, and like I said, I've only used it to focus on things that I can control and help the kids around me. The hard times that I've been in has only made my passion go stronger. And so in 2019, I created the Frankie Moscato Foundation to fight teen suicide just in Wisconsin. And before that, I was a spokesperson for 3 different organizations that battle poor mental health. Mm-hmm. And so after that and all that experience, I created my 501c3 nonprofit, and we have some wonderful sponsors like Festival Foods who just helped me to raise over $8,000 in 2 weeks. And on Sunday, we just raised another $2,000. But my foundation, we grant money to impoverished schools to be able to bring in real professionals to put into place sustainable awareness programs for these kids. We create music videos, we create public service announcements, and lots of Be Kind merchandise to spread that awareness. And now we finally have a physical presence right on Main Street in Oshkosh, where people can come in, and I will be offering free suicide prevention training for adults that have influence on kids, like teachers and Boy Scout leaders and Girl Scout leaders. I mean, you could just go on and on about how many adults have an influence on kids. So they're all welcome to come in. We're going to be offering this training. It's called QPR training. It's Question, Persuade, and Refer. I'm collaborating with Community for Hope, where we'll be offering this. So that's going to be in my building, but eventually we're going to expand to the historic Time Theater that's right across the street from my foundation. And I think it was actually made in 1908. So it's an amazing theater, and it holds more than 400 people. So we're going to bring in just the whole community to do this training, and I'm really stoked about it.
Does the issue of teen mental health sometimes get overlooked?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think we put more focus on the physical disease like heart disease and cancer, but mental health is just as important. So that's why I'm just so passionate to fight this growing disease of suicide.
Are older people too often telling these kids, oh, just get over it? Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I think nowadays it is so hard to be a teenager in this world. I mean, we have social media, and that's one of the biggest things. But we also have to eliminate the stigma.
Now, why is there a stigma?
Yeah, I think parents are too afraid that if they use the word suicide, it's going to get in the kid's head, and they're going to decide to go that route. But that's just totally not true. We need to say those words. You know, are you thinking of hurting yourself? are you having thoughts of suicide? So we need to spread the word, and for kids in school, if you are on the edge, or if you know someone else that is, you have to remember that it's totally safe to tell, and be brave and tell a teacher.
What motivates you to do this? You know, it's a tough subject. Sometimes it's a dark subject, and on the other hand, you've got all this talent and you're getting famous, like you're not already. You don't have to do this. What are you doing it for?
Well, I just love my community, and I have an amazing team of 30 adult volunteers that encourage me to keep going. I mean, I always wanted to be a doctor, so I would volunteer at hospitals. I wanted to save kids' lives as a little kid, and so the doctors encouraged me, you should stay into music, and you can save lives that way too, and that kind of changed my route. But, you know, even festival foods, I think when they are sponsoring me and helping the foundation, I don't think they even realize that they're actually even helping me and keeping me focused on my mission, and keeping me humble, and it's really amazing.
You are talking about some of the merchandise that you'll be selling. You've got the Be Kind shirt.
Yes.
You got a Be Kind clock. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, what is the number one thing that kids are looking at when they're in the classroom? It's usually the clock, because they sometimes want to get out of class, they want to be active.
Right.
So, you know, it's perfect to have that message right there. But, you know, there's also some families that want it in their house too. So we're going to be selling that at the foundation building right in Oshkosh. But I also just designed some Be Kind ukuleles. We've got water bottles, so it's a lot of different ways to inspire your communities.
You've got some resources on your website, books in particular. Any particular books that stand out that are helpful to kids or their parents?
Oh, I could go on and on. You can find that all on frankie.me. But
Frankie.me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But my number one go-to is it's a book called Jesus Calling. And it's kind of a tradition that most weddings that I perform at, I will give the bride this book, because it's changed my life. I actually grew up, actually in the past year and a half, I started singing for my church at St. Raphael, so I've gotten really involved. It's really changed my life, and so I've become more of a Christian singer, so I've written a lot of more Christian songs. So that's why Jesus Calling, I think our world is becoming more secular, and kids are going right to media and things that just don't last. They think that vacations and money is what creates lasting happiness, but that's not the case. So I really love good spiritual books that bring that joy back out of you and bring the light, you know, make it a little brighter for these kids.
How do you encourage kids to reach out? Because there's somebody out there watching right now who has thought about suicide. How do you encourage them to reach out? Because they're thinking, no, I can't admit this. I can't go get help.
Yeah, well, I encourage, that's a big reason why we're doing this training with these adults, is we're teaching them how to persuade them and tell them that the problems that they're having right now is not going to last. It is not going to last forever. It is going to go away. But I think a good way that helps persuade these kids is when they can hear it from someone that's almost their age. And I try to remind these kids when I do school assemblies myself, it wasn't too long when I was walking in your hallways. So I think they can relate more when it's coming from a kid. I know I look pretty young. My sister makes fun of me that I look like a second grader sometimes. But I think they listen more when it's coming right from a kid.
Sure, up here. We have much more with Frankie Moscato right after this, so please stay with us. Back once again with Frankie Moscato. Let's talk about your acting career. How did you get into that?
I think it really all started when I was in some of those dark spots in my life, and I wrote more songs and I made music videos, and that built the connections with producers and filmmakers. And I was in all these short films, and I found such a love for being behind the camera, and even and in being in front of the camera, and being in these characters. And the most interesting role I have right now is in this Christian thriller. It's called Through Eyes of Grace, and I'm playing the role of Grace, and she's the pastor's daughter, and she sings, and you might just find some Be Kind t-shirts in the movie, which I'm so blessed that our filmmaker is bringing into the story. But it's based in Wisconsin, so that's why we're filming all around Sheboygan and Oostburg. It's quite an amazing experience to be in my own state of Wisconsin and doing this. But this author's from New York. He wrote this amazing book. And you just won't believe how it ends.
What is it that
It's
people
wild.
are supposed to take away from that film without giving us the ending?
Oh yeah, well there's a little bit of awareness for teen suicide and adult suicide, which is so it's going to really spread the awareness of how we have to focus on our loved ones and sticking around the people that we love and who love us, and staying true to our faith. So it's a really good story.
So you're singing, you're going to school, you're in a movie. Any other projects that you're involved in?
Yeah, well, like I said, I've been really focusing on Christian music lately, and it's the perfect segue to open up for Danny Gokey. He's one of my biggest Christian music mentors. So that's going to be in July 10th. And July 7th, I will be opening the main stage at Life Fest right in Oshkosh, and I'm so stoked for that. I'm going to have some band members, Tom and Mark. They are just wonderful. And July 3rd, I'll be opening with the national anthem for NASCAR, and that's going to be televised. And I never watch, I never get into cars, but I think I'm going to walk away being a big NASCAR fan.
So how are you getting all these gigs? I mean, do you have an agent? How does that work?
Yeah, well, the secret for me, I think, is sticking around my parents as long as I can. I think you really got to hang around people who love you the most, and they're going to work the hardest for you. My parents always wanted me to be a doctor, and but they will do anything that I ask them, and they tell me all about hard work, and we are so determined to focus on the mission and doing what's right, and spreading kindness and inspiration. And so my dad, he retired to be my full-time manager, and we really get stuff done, and I'm really blessed. And so it's really just it's my parents and I and our team of 30 adult volunteers.
So you got a manager who's looking out for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that part of
Yeah.
it. What pulls you more, the music or the acting?
Oh, that's a really tough one, but it's got to be the music.
The music.
Yeah, I've just been doing that since I was a baby. I just love it.
With all the projects that you're involved in, you have called yourself a kid. What does this kid Frankie do when you're not being a celebrity? What do you do at home? What's going on in your off time?
I love playing catch in my backyard with my dad. I've got a huge pond in my backyard. I go swimming. I love volleyball. I love sports. My dad and I are just crazy over the Bucks and just watching TV. And I honestly love cleaning the house with my mom. And that sounds really boring.
We're laughing because Mom's here in the studio with us.
Yes, she is here. I love you, Mom.
You must if you love cleaning her house.
That's so true. I love cleaning my parents' house, and I've got the most wonderful sister. She's my second mother. She's 8 years older than me, Miranda, and so we were both in dance together. So we're big dancers, and so I just love anything active.
We have more to come with Frankie Moscato. Fun show. Stay with us. Back now with Frankie Moscato. You mentioned that you hope to become a musical therapist. What's a musical therapist?
I want to do everything that I can for whoever crosses my path. I want to just uplift them and encourage them and help them truly encounter real, lasting happiness and inspire them to want to go out and help other people. I want to inspire kids to want to reach their own dreams. That's just one of my biggest passions in life.
So how can people help the Frankie Moscato Foundation? What do you need? What can they do for you?
Well, if you want to donate, you can go to my website, frankie.me, Franki.me, and you can click on the foundation tab and you can donate there. You can come to the events and support. Again, expect to see suicide prevention concerts that I'll be holding right in Oshkosh at the Time Theater across from my foundation building. We're just going to constantly be raising money to fight this disease. I mean, it's the second leading cause of death, teen suicide, but it is the most preventable disease. We can totally fight this.
You're talking about doing all these singing gigs, be it at the White House or Pfizer Forum, and singing at weddings. And now there are people out there who are saying, I'd like to get her at my gig. How can they get a hold of you? How can they book you?
Well, there too, you can go right on frankie.me, and you can send me an email, frankie@frankiejoe.com. But yeah, I love performing. It's a real joy, and I do all sorts of different songs. Billy Joel and Elton John, one of my favorite singers. But just a big variety. Whatever the clients want, I give to them.
Without blowing up your ego, how big do you think you're going to get?
Well, my goal is to make Jesus more famous, for these people. But I want to be able to. I feel like my life is so short. I want to reach as many people as I can. So I just want the message to reach more and more stadiums of people.
Someday I'm going to say I knew her well. What a pleasure having you on this morning,
Well,
Frankie
thank you.
Moscato. Thank you so much for being with us.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
And if you have a newsmaker that you think you should have on this show, let us know about it. Send us an email to tips@wearegreenbay.com or message us on Facebook. And be sure to join us once again Sunday morning at 7:30. Until then, have a great day.